Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Tehillim Treasures, where we will plumb the beautiful depths and treasures of Tehillim from the very beginning of Tehillim to the end of David HaMelech's masterpiece. This episode is brought to you by Chazaq. Chazaq is an organization that helps public school children become Shomrei Torah mitzvahs, exposes them to the beauty of Torah and mitzvahs. Imagine for a moment you're standing in a store or you're walking down the street. You know the neighbor. You've known them for many years. You see their children riding their bike in the driveway. And you know they're Jewish. But now there's someone who can help them take the next step. And that is Chazaq, with countless programs after school and other wonderful programs to help expose them to the beauty of Yiddishkeit. If you know someone or know someone that knows someone that can help these children, then please email at psty@chazaq.org. This episode is also brought to you by Chickens for Shabbos. Chickens for Shabbos is exactly what it says it is, plus more. There are many people. There are Melamdim's children. There are Agunis. There are Grushis. There are families that do not have simple essentials for Shabbos and for life. Whatever they need, Chickens for Shabbos is there to provide. Please do your utmost to help in any way you can. We now move on to the next two chapters in Tehillim, chapter Pei Zayin and Pei Ches, as we continue this beautiful journey through David HaMelech's timeless treasures. Livnei Kairach Mizmor Shir. Bnei Kairach are the ones that composed this. And at first, it seems to identify Hashem's most beloved city of Yerushalayim, Oyev Hashem Sharei Tzion Mikol Mishkenois Yaakov. But the Gemara in Bracha says that when it says to Sharei Tzion, it means Sha'orim HaMitzuyonim Behalacha. It means those who are careful, who are expert in halacha. And Hashem loves them more than the places that study halacha, and the people that study halacha more so than any of the other Batei Knesiyos and Batei Midrashos. Well, Reb Uri of Strelisk once said, only one who is an expert in Shulchan Aruch, unerken de Meigin, and he's acquainted with the protectors. Who's the protectors? The Magen Avram and the Magen David. The Magen David is known as the Taz, the two great protectors of the Jewish people. Der ken daven, and he is able to daven. In order for somebody to be able to be truly beloved in the eyes of Hashem, he has to be willing and able to protect Hashem's Torah. How do you protect the Torah? By knowing the halacha. A person can be so well-meaning, but if you don't know halacha, if you don't know any halacha, then unfortunately your ignorance will cause you to sin, and you're not protecting Hashem's Torah anymore. Rabbi Yisrael Alter was known as the Beis Yisrael, the great Gerer Rebbe, who died some 50 years ago or so. And he emphasized the learning of halacha for his Hasidim. He was very familiar with every Birur Halacha, every Shar Hatzion, which are the footnotes and the sidebars in the great timeless sefer of the Chavetz Chaim, known as the Mishnah Berurah, which is the classic authoritative sefer on halacha. And he was extremely careful about halacha. One time, the Beis Yisrael had an incident, and this is really what shows how he became so careful in halacha. There was once a brilliant young man who came to the Rebbe. He was very close with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe spoke to him many times, and he developed a close relationship with him. And he said to him, I want you to set aside time every single day, aside from all of your other learning Gemara, you're learning of Mishnayos, you're learning of Chumash, you're learning of Chassidus, also learn halacha. But the Bacher said, listen, the daily schedule of yeshiva does not allow time for halacha seder. The Rebbe said it's extremely important. And the Rebbe stood up. And the Rebbe was like a melech. He was like a king. And he stood up and he walked over to his Svarim Shrank, to his bookcase. And he reached up into his bookcase and he pulled out a sefer, his very own Mishnah Berurah, and he handed it to the Bacher as a gift. And when the Bacher saw how precious and how important it was to the Rebbe, so the Bacher realized, yes, I'm going to start learning halacha. And this boy grew up to become one of the leading poskim of our generation. When we embrace halacha, when we realize how important halacha is, we are protecting the Rebbeinu Shalom's Torah. The Gedolim know how important it is, and therefore everyone encourages the learning of halacha. Never ever brush it aside. Make sure that you set aside a little time every day, both men and women, to learn a few halachas, whether it be from the kitchen books, beautiful books from Art Scroll, or some other halacha that is negeya to you. Find something that speaks to you, something that you can improve upon, and something that will allow you to become a protector of Hashem's Torah. We move on to Peiches. And in Mizmor Peiches, we begin again with the Bnei Kairach, the Shir Mizmor Livnei Kairach. But the 88th parak was sung by Maskil LeHaimon HaEzrachi. Haimon HaEzrachi, Rashi identifies as one of the 5 children of Zerach, the son of Yehuda. Very interesting. And Zerach's children were known to be some of the greatest singers, and this is the song that Haimon HaEzrachi would sing. So says Rashi. In fact, the next chapter is from Haimon's brother, Eisan HaEzrachi. Now, the words in the first verse, first pasuk, it says, Lamnatseach al mochalas le'anois. And mochalas le'anois seems to be a musical instrument. But if you look at the word mochalas, you come across the word mechilas. Mechilas means to forgive. Le'anois has the same shayresh as inui, affliction. In fact, machalas has another meaning. Machala, sickness. So here we have a very interesting way of looking at this chapter. Instead of Lamnatseach al machalas la'anois, referring to a musical instrument, you have Lamnatseach al machalas la'anois to have some sort of connection to sickness, affliction, and perhaps forgiveness. Says the Chassid Yaivitz, who lived some 500 years ago. He says that the chapter speaks of the pain and suffering that the Yidden endure throughout the long Golus. At times, our inui, our afflictions and our suffering is like an illness and a sickness with no cure. Yet, if a person is willing to do tshuva, if a person is willing to work at it, then Hashem Elokei Yeshuasi Yoin Tza'akti V'layla Negdecha. Hashem, I cried out by day and by night before you, and if I am sick, chas v'shalom, or I am suffering, or I have some or other challenge, I know that I'm not alone because I can always cry out to you, and my cries have meanings. And the truth is that some perspective is needed, because sometimes people go through very, very difficult times, and they think, what is the purpose of it? Where is the Rebbeinu Shalom in all this? But if a person recognizes where it's coming from and that there is a purpose in his suffering, then there will be great, great purpose and meaning in what you're going through, and you'll be able to endure and persevere and become bigger and stronger and better and closer to Hashem because of it. There's a beautiful little story that took place with Rabbi Yechiel Spero. Rabbi Yechiel Spero the great Rosh Yeshiva of Slobodka Yeshiva. And Rabbi Yechiel Spero was a tremendous pikeach of the mind. He was a brilliant, brilliant person. And he was somebody who understood people and understood the inner workings of the way life works. And one time, one of his daughters, a married girl, broke her leg. For a mother to break her leg is a very, very painful thing, obviously. But aside from that, it cripples them in their functionality as a mother. And she tried to work through the pain, and she tried to take it easy, but it was affecting all of her motherhood. It was affecting her life, and it was taking its toll and causing her much mental anguish and anxiety. And she went to her father, and she said, "Father, it's too hard for me. I can't. I need some chizuk. I need something to help me get through this." And Rabbi Yechiel Spero said to his daughter, "Do you remember when you went into labor? It was very, very painful. Do you remember when you were suffering? Do you remember the pain was mamish unbearable? And you probably were crying out terribly. But it was almost a cry of joy. Why? Because you knew that, you know what's coming from these cries? A baby. A baby who is going to have a life of its own. You were creating life." And because of that, not only was the pain bearable, but you're willing to do it again and again and again. In no less a manner, when Hashem calls you to break your foot, and there's pain and anguish and suffering, all of that is producing Paris, life, schusim, closeness to Hashem, real life. And when you realize that, then not only will the pain be something that you're able to endure, but it will be something that gives you strength, and you'll be prepared for no matter what comes your way. Every person in their life has all types of suffering. But we have to know when we call out to Hashem, we have to realize He is the source of the suffering, and that the suffering is really a way to produce Paris and closeness to Him, and real life and real schusim, and things that will ultimately be somewhat of a tremendous benefit to us. May we all be zochim mit Hashem to embrace our Yisurim and to realize that it's really a gift from Hashem. Until next time, sei gesund.